welcome back to Indigenous Food Friday, and today we are making stuffed pumpkin blossoms. You can use squash blossoms, any kind of squash, and as well as pumpkin blossoms. I really like pumpkin blossoms because they have a softer petal and they're bigger, but whatever works for you. Now the best time to collect your blossoms are in the morning when they're nice and open. These are pumpkin blossoms and they're going to be perfect. And then gently rinse them and place them upside down on a clean towel to dry. So now this is 2 cups of pinto beans. They're just dried. I haven't soaked them overnight or anything. Now we're going to just fill this with water. And as it absorbs the water, you'll need to keep filling more and more water. But for now, I'm going to put in about 6 cups of water. I also dropped in a couple culinary sage twigs. If you can use any kind of sage, if you've got prairie sage or culinary sage. Culinary sage is best for cooking. So drop a couple on that and just simmer that for a couple hours and we'll come back. Okay, so now the beans are all cooked. It's been about 4 hours and it's been nice and simmering with the sage and with the cedar. So now we're gonna let these beans cool and then we're gonna drain them. Okay, so now we've braised our beans in cedar and sage, and so they're cooked, they're nice and soft. We've let them cool and drain. They are pretty soft, and that's okay, that's what you want because we are gonna be blending this. You can use any kind of food processor or blender. I have this little food processor. If you want to be really old school, you can just use a mortar and pestle, and that works too. So we're going to put this in to your food processor. I'm going to get a spoon. I'll be right back. Okay, I got ahead of myself, got the spoon and have it all in my food processor. I took out the main sage sticks and the cedar twig. But if there's leaves and stuff left in there, that's fine. It's all going to be blended together. Okay. We want it to make a really nice paste, so you're just going to blend it. I just do it on the lowest setting until it's all a nice paste. Okay, now it's nice and creamy. We're going to add this is probably 2 tablespoons of sunflower oil, a generous pinch of salt, or 2, and of course maple syrup. We're going to put, I would say that's about a tablespoon of maple syrup. And then with the last video I did, if you have sumac, go ahead and add a couple pinches of that. If you don't have sumac, that's fine. You could put in a little bit of lemon if you like, or just omit it completely. Now we're going to go ahead and mix that. Okay, so the best time to get your blossoms are early in the morning. That's when the blossoms are going to be nice and big. They'll close up as soon as the sun hits them. So they open up overnight, and it's actually the moths at night that fertilize your pumpkins and squash, in case you didn't know. So then rinse your blossoms, and then I place them upside down on a towel or paper towels and just let them dry. So now you're going to very carefully pick them up, open them up. The petals are very gentle, are very fragile, so be careful. We're going to open these up, get a spoonful of this bean paste. You can use a spoon, or I'm using a small spatula, whatever works for you. And we're just putting in about this much to fill the bottom of the blossom. And then you take the petals, and you're going to close them up and just lightly twist them. I'll do the next one and get a close up. Okay, so we'll take our blossom that's been rinsed and dried. We're gonna open it up very carefully. You can see that pretty big pocket in there. Take a spoonful of your bean mixture and plop it in there. So about that much. Very carefully take the petals, wrap them up, and very carefully twist, and then lay down. And then just keep on doing that. And some people will add in like whitefish or trout, which of course is a whitefish, but any kind of whitefish or even sardines, they'll add that into their bean paste mixture. I don't like that, but it would definitely add another layer of protein and flavor. If you were worried about protein, there is protein in this blossom. The stamen and the pollen are loaded with protein. So, and then the beans are loaded with protein. So you're already getting quite a bit of nutrients. This is a power food right here. You've got just enough carbs so that you can break down the protein, but then tons of complete proteins in the beans and then in the flour itself. So if you've got kids that are growing like they all do, or into sports, this is a really good food for them. My husband is a plumber, and then of course we have the farm, so he's always out working and he doesn't ever stop moving. So here I was not as careful as I should have been when I grabbed this blossom, and the petals are almost like plastic wrap. If they come in contact with each other, they just stick to each other. So heed my words and don't make the mistake I just made and be super quick and and you're not as delicate or fragile or delicate as you should be. I'm even struggling with my words today. But even if you do that, see, it's all right. It just takes time and patience to open that back up. I'm gonna open this with my finger because it is not wanting to stay open. Open that gently. This one is not going to hold as much as I thought because I was too reckless with it. So patience. I was talking too much and was not paying enough attention. It'll still work out though. Twist the ends, it'll still be delicious. Just not as pretty as the other ones. Okay, pick this one up very careful. Much better. Open it up. Okay. But yeah, as far as the ingredients go, just mess around with whatever sounds good. You could even, I mean, this isn't too traditional, but if you wanted to add some Mexican cheese, like the queso crumbly cheese, that might be a good addition. Cheese isn't traditional for indigenous in North America, so we generally don't have cheese in there. And actually, most indigenous people are lactose intolerant and or gluten intolerant. Our DNA just is not made to digest. It just doesn't know that it doesn't have the enzymes needed to digest lactose and gluten. So you'll find a lot of indigenous just can't handle dairy, and they either have celiacs or they're just incredibly gluten sensitive. I'm one of those. So you'll notice that most of my cooking is, well, all of my cooking is dairy and gluten-free. Slightly twist, and then we'll set that down. And you can do a whole bunch. See, I have all of this bean mixture that's left over. I'll actually just put this in a jar in the fridge, and my son will just eat it after school for a snack. So if you didn't have as many blossoms, this would probably be enough for, a dozen and a half blossoms, depending on how big they are. But you can also put this back in the fridge, and then the next day when you have more blossoms, you can make some more. Okay, so now while I'm doing the next part, I'm going to heat up a deep skillet and fill it, see, my measurements are crazy. This is sunflower oil. You can use any kind of vegetable oil, but traditionally we would use sunflower oil, or you could even use tallow or any kind of oil. Duck oil would be really, really good. But for this, I'm using sunflower oil. I think it really doesn't add any unwanted or unneeded, really, flavor. That way, sunflower oil is super light. It has a really high smoke point. It's great for frying things in. And it won't add, it'll add your good cholesterol, you see. So while this is heating up over medium to high heat, we'll go to the next step. I think I forgot to add, or to finish my sentence, fill your pan full enough that when you put the blossoms in, it's going to at least come up halfway. So it's hard to measure because it depends on the size of your pan, but at least so that when you do drop these blossoms in, it'll cover them at least halfway. Okay, so traditionally we would use, and we do use, duck eggs. I don't have any ducks, I only have chickens. So for this, I would use probably 1 to 2 duck eggs. I'm probably going to use 3 chicken eggs because my chickens lay, medium to large eggs. Well, a few small ones too. So probably I'm just going to use 3 chicken eggs. Just scramble these up a little bit. Now I've got a bowl of just really finely ground cornmeal or corn flour, whichever you prefer. I really like the lightly ground, or not lightly, the really finely ground corn for this recipe. But you can use, if you like it thicker, it's just totally up to your preference. Add a generous couple pinches of salt and a little bit of pepper. And then just lightly mix that together. Nice. Okay, so now we're going to very carefully take our blossoms and roll them in the egg mixture. It's not a mixture, I'm sorry, it's just eggs. And then roll it in the cornmeal mixture. You'll just very carefully, if you want to use tongs for this part, you can, but these are so fragile, I have a hard time using tongs, so I'll just use my hands. You could use a spoon as well, and you just very carefully lay them into your hot oil. Now, leaves on a pumpkin plant are edible as well. It's not just the flowers and the fruit. You can also cook your pumpkin leaves with like potatoes or any kind of tubers, turnips, and you'll love the flavor. You just have to cook it a little bit longer. And then you can just mash it all together or just eat it like you would greens. Maybe I'll do that on another video, huh? Okay, and you're gonna cook this about 4 to 5 minutes on each side until it's crispy and golden brown. You know, while I was waiting for these to finish cooking, I had an idea that I could put the leftover bean paste in like a plastic bag or a pastry chef bag, and then use that to fill the blossoms, and that might be easier to clean up, and I might get more into the blossom. I'm gonna try that next time. You know the thoughts you have when you're waiting for stuff? Yeah, I get those a lot. Okay, and because they're put in at different times, they're gonna be ready to turn at different times. Now I know this one's ready because I can pick it up and it's not moving around the blossom too much, and it's nice and golden on one side. So just easily turn that. This guy is done. I'm gonna turn that. Not ready, not ready. It's ready. So while I'm waiting as well, I had kind of a run-in with someone on social media. You know what happens, and I usually don't give them any energy, but this person was so incredibly out of line towards the indigenous community. It was crazy. Basically saying we didn't know how to do anything until European settlers came over. We didn't even know the wheel and all this. You know, we've heard it all. The way that we cook today is the way that we cooked back before contact. So this is something we had and continue to eat, and we did this all on our own. Corn actually comes from indigenous people. That was one of the first GMOs, because original corn is a grain, like a grass. And through many generations of genetic modifying and changing things, that's why we have corn today, is because of indigenous people of Turtle Island. And we did have the wheel. Our whole culture is based on the medicine wheel. But then when I cook, I'm reminded of this, that too many people think that we were just savages eating out of, I don't even know what they think. But no, we eat and we ate very, very well and good. It wasn't just meat and vegetables and corn. We ate and we do continue to eat very well. I just wanted to put that in there. Okay, so it's been about 4 minutes on each side. I'm going to very carefully transfer them over to either a strainer, or you can put on a paper towel. Whatever works. They're still kind of delicate, but not like they were when you picked it off of the bush or your vine. Okay, so Hot Husband just came in from working and he's gonna try one. Let us know what you think.
Pretty good.
It's all right?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Okay, so now we're ready to plate. Now you can serve this with any kind of dish. You can serve it as an appetizer or hors d'oeuvres. You can really do this with anything. It's really good with another corn dish, maybe some squash and fish, whatever works for you, or an after-school snack. Now I like to garnish with, of course, a little bit of maple syrup. I'm going to use a spoon to drizzle it on so we don't have too much, and just drizzle that over. Oh my gosh, you're gonna love this so much. Right there. And then a sprinkle of our staghorn sumac that we just processed last week. And just sprinkle a little bit on there. And there you go. Garnish with a couple of geraniums. And it is beautiful. Okay, there you are. Give it a try. Let me know what you think. This is bean stuffed squash or pumpkin blossoms. Enjoy. Mama P.